What's up YouTube, Zero here, and today I have an incredible combination of Oricorio Electric and Luxray in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of the cards individually, and I'll also talk about why each of these cards play really well with each other and why you should think about checking this deck out. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, let's talk about this Luxray plus Oricorio deck. First, I'm going to talk about Oricorio because Oricorio is obvious. If you've been playing for at least a little while now, you should already be familiar with Oricorio Electric just because of how electrifying it is. Now it does have one move, Zap, for 50 damage, 2 energy, 1 electric, but this is an electric type deck. So whatever energy, doesn't matter if it's colorless or electric, you're going to be equipping electric on your Pokemon for 2 energy, Zap for 50 damage, but that's not the bread and butter of Oricorio. Oricorio Electric, there are multiple Oricorios in the game, so remember we're talking about the electric one, has the ability Safeguard. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. That means if your opponent has an EX Pokemon, it cannot hit your Oricorio for massive amounts of damage. Now, there are some EX Pokemon that can find a way around this. For example, Darkrai, if you equip energy onto Darkrai, it has an ability, Nightmare Aura, that does 20 damage to the Pokemon in the active slot. That is a way that a Pokemon, at least an EX Pokemon, can damage Oricorio. However, that's not for a ton of damage. We're talking about blocking the big stuff. And Oricorio blocks big EX attacks very well. That's why I love Oricorio. It's great against EX Pokemon and can really help you as a trainer set up Pokemon on your bench. 50 damage for 2 energy is okay, it's not great, but the ability really does bring it home and really helps you out. So Oricorio provides a few options in this deck. Either one, it can stonewall your opponent's EX Pokemon. It's great for that. And just to note, this deck does not have any EX Pokemon. So if your opponent only has EX Pokemon, you automatically win. There is no maybe you switch a Luxray in and they can win a match. There's no way for them to get enough points if your opponent only has EX Pokemon for them to win, which is really awesome, being able to stonewall decks that have only EX Pokemon and stonewall EX Pokemon in general. But Oricorio provides that safeguard against EX Pokemon so you can build up energy on your Luxrays on the bench. It can also be death fodder if you really need it as death fodder. Say your opponent doesn't have any EX Pokemon, similar to what I just defeated in this previous video in the Silvally Rampardos deck that doesn't have any EX Pokemon. I just utilize my Oricorio as death fodder so I can build up energy on my Luxray because I know my Luxray is going to be the damage dealer. It's going to be what helps me overcome the strong Pokemon on my opponent's teams. So it acts in 2 fashions, but really what it's there to do is stonewall your opponent's EX Pokemon, which is why I absolutely love Oricorio. Oricorio can be found in the Celestial Guardians Solgaleo packs, so be on the lookout for that. It is an amazing card in a lot of different decks. I see a lot of trainers utilizing Oricorio in non-electric decks just to act as a wall in case opponents have EX Pokemon. So I have seen that. I don't want to do that. I prefer keeping it in electric decks just so I can attack with it, but it has been used as a wall because of Safeguard. Now let's talk about Luxray. And I do have the two different Luxrays. Currently, there are two Luxrays in Pokemon TCG Pocket as I am recording this video. Both of them are very good and provide different aspects to the team, which is why I like one of each. I'm going to talk about the original Luxray first. And the original Luxray is found in the Space-Time Smackdown Dialga packs. This can deal a lot of damage and can really catch your opponent off guard. For 3 electric energy, Volt Bolt. Discard all electric energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So that means you don't just have to attack the Pokemon in the active slot. You can if you want to, but you can attack any Pokemon on the playing field. This is really awesome because it can catch your opponent off guard, and you can take out either a weakened Pokemon on the bench, eliminating your need for Cyrus, or you can take out a Pokemon that may cause you trouble in the future of the match. So I'm just going to use Charizard as an example. Perhaps you're facing a Charizard deck, and you notice that. You notice that Moltres is in the active slot, Charmander is on the bench and has a bunch of energy on it. However, your opponent hasn't been able to evolve into Charizard yet. Well, you can utilize that 120 damage to take out the Charmander prior to your opponent getting his or her Charizard. That's absolutely awesome because it can really turn the tide of the battle in your favor. You don't have to wait for your opponent to play that Pokemon in the active slot. You don't have to utilize Sabrina. You don't have to utilize Cyrus. Luxray can just attack and deal 120 damage to any Pokemon on the playing field. So that's going to be awesome for Luxray. Now the second Luxray does have some benefits. Of course, it does have some drawbacks as well. Each of these Luxrays have their benefits and drawbacks. Of course, the Luxray that I just talked about loses all 3 energy after you attack. So that's crucial. But there's a way around that. You can see Volkner is going to be a crucial piece of this deck. But let's talk about the other Luxray first. So second Luxray with Electric Ball deals 90 damage for 3 energy. This Luxray has an ability though. Luxray, the Electric Ball one, has Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon is in the active slot, attacks used by your Pokemon, attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon, do minus 20 damage. So you're automatically going to take off 20 damage from your opponent to your Luxray. That can be game changing. And there's one Pokemon off the top of my head that's utilized a lot right now that this is crucial for, and it's helped me defeat this Pokemon multiple times. That Pokemon is Rampardos. I don't have Giant Cape in this deck. I've chosen to go against it because I have this Luxray. I do have Rocky Helm to deal some extra damage because both of these Luxrays don't deal a ton of damage, so I like dealing that extra damage. But I don't have any way of avoiding an 130 hit attack. Both Luxrays have 130 HP. Rampardos deals 130 damage. It's a very popular Pokemon that's utilized. Well, Luxray number 2, the one with Electric Ball, is only going to take 110 damage, so it's going to allow Luxray to survive. There are other Pokemon, Giratina, another big one that deals 130 damage, that you can survive a hit from. That's why this Luxray is going to be pretty important, because it's going to allow you to survive that one hit. The other Luxray can't do that. But this Luxray being able to do that, as long as you get the first hit, you can two-shot both of those Pokemon that I just mentioned, Rampardos and Giratina, doing 90 damage. So that's pretty important and going to help you win a decent amount of battles having both of these Luxrays on your team rather than just one, because Luxray number 2 is not going to be one-shot by certain Pokemon that deal 130 damage. And this Luxray is going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs. So be on the lookout for this Luxray in that one. It is crucial to have both Luxrays in this deck. Luxio, doesn't matter too much which one you have. I do have the one with Headbolt for 2 electric energy. I have one of them. Deals 50 damage. This is going to be found. This Luxio is in the extra dimensional crisis packs. And then Shinx, the one I have, for 1 electric energy, bite for 20, is also in the extra dimensional crisis packs. You can go with whichever ones you want, but I prefer these two, this Shinx for 2 and Luxio for 1, because they deal more damage than the other ones in the game. So I do prefer these Pokemon as opposed to their counterparts, their other ones in the game. Couple of basics that I have in most decks: 2 Pokeballs, which draws a basic from your deck into your hand, and Professor's Research, which allows you to draw 2 cards. So those are pretty important as a part of this deck. Rocky Helm, I already talked about, does allow you to get some extra damage. Luxray number 1 deals 120, Luxray number 2 deals 90. Oricorio is going to be attacked by some very weak Pokemon, because opponents, such as the one I'm facing, isn't going to want to evolve into his Charizard. So being able to have an Oricorio in that active slot that's dealing an extra 20 with the Rocky Helm is going to really frustrate your opponent. So I love Rocky Helm. For those of you who don't know, when your opponent attacks you and deals damage, your Rocky Helm is going to deal 20 to them. That can be found in the Space-Time Smackdown Palkia packs. Rare Candy is awesome to get to Luxray as quickly as possible. If you have your Shinx on the battlefield for at least 1 turn, you can utilize Rare Candy and evolve into your Stage 2 Pokemon, so either of your Luxrays skipping your Luxio, which is one of the reasons why I only have 1 Luxio in this deck. I utilize 2 Rare Candies to try and get to Luxray as quickly as possible, and Rare Candy is going to be found in the Celestial Guardians packs. Let's talk about the bread and butter Volkner. You need Volkner with Luxray. It's huge. So Volkner, you choose one of your Electivire Luxrays. I only have Luxrays in this deck. Attach 2 electric energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. So if you have Luxray 1 in the active slot and you're dealing your damage, you discard all 3 energy. If you have a Volkner, you can get 2 energy from your discard pile already back on that Luxray. Volkner is going to be great so you can either attack very quickly with a Luxray that you haven't had energy on, or is going to allow you to attack multiple times with your Luxray 1 while that energy is being discarded. So it's actually really important for Luxray. Don't forget Volkner in your deck, and that can be found in the Space-Time Smackdown Palkia packs. A couple more supporter cards that I like. Team Rocket Grunt. Team Rocket Grunt, you flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This is going to be nice to slowing your opponent down. A lot of Pokemon or opponents aren't going to put their EX in that active slot if you have an Oricorio. So Team Rocket Grunt is a way to slow your opponent down even further by taking energy off of them. And Team Rocket Grunt is going to be found in the Shining Revelry packs. Last but not least, Pokemon Center Lady. Heals 30 damage and your Pokemon recovers from special conditions. Healing 30 damage is going to be great to keeping your Pokemon alive. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this deck. I absolutely love it. It's been great for me. But let me know if you've tried something similar. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until next time, peace.